Hey guys, how's it going? It's that time of year again where people are getting sick, and it's good to have something, right? A homemade remedy of some kind, and of course, our go to is chicken noodle soup. This is my take on Peruvian style chicken noodle soup, the kind of soup that my aunt used to make when I was growing up as a kid in the house. So we're going to use some cumin, oregano, bay leaf, salt, pepper. I do have chicken breasts here that I'm going to be using. I've cut down already my potatoes, my celery, my carrots, and I did put my bay leaf in there already with a little bit of red onion and a couple cloves of garlic as well to get that flavor in there. Now the cumin does help, especially when you're sick. Some good properties in cumin that do help the body in the time of need. So, and I do have here about 1.5 cups of elbow noodles and my chicken stock bouillon, excuse me, that I'm going to be using here to get my stock going. So let's get started. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut up my chicken. I'm not going to use gloves. A lot of people do. That's okay to use. Not knocking it. So I'm going to take my first piece of chicken. Now these were previously frozen, so they might still be a little bit not all the way thawed out, but I'm going to cube these up. So just like this. All right. Take your other chicken breast. Same deal. So if you have some thick chicken breasts, sometimes a good idea you can do, just cut it down. That's all. Make 2 out of them. All right, and you can cut them down how you want them, the size that you're looking for. That desired size that everybody craves. All right, cube these pieces up there, throw them in your little bowl or whatever you got going on. It does not matter how you cut this up, with the grain, against the grain, it's all going to be eaten. It's all just getting cubed up anyway. You're not going to have tough chicken after this is cooked up. When you get pieces like this, you might see them. A lot of people just disregard that little piece right there. That can go right into the trash. All right, got my cubed chicken. That's all set. So everything is cubed up. Got my chicken cubed up here. I got my veggies already cut up there. I got my noodles ready. So a good thing to do as well when you're making food, prep. That's the easiest thing. As you cook and as you go, I've learned through the years, not having everything ready available to you as you're cooking can be disastrous at times. You could either burn your food, overboil, overcook, or undercook at times. So you just want to make sure you have everything in front of you ready to go, depending on what you're making. All right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to go over to our pot this way. All right, so here's our pot of water. Now I did put about 10 cups of water in that for the ratio that I'm using today. Depending on how much you're making is how much water you want to use. Don't go above your handle marks on water ever, because when the more you add stuff to your pot, the more that water is going to rise. Just keep that in mind. So here I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of this caldo de pollo, chicken bouillon. All right, there it is. Hello, all done, all in there. We're going to mix that together. Now we just whisk that together here inside the pot. That way it doesn't stick to one spot. Get that to break up in there. All right. Once we've whisked that in there, just gonna let that sit for a minute, and we're gonna add our starches. So just before the starches and before I get my water boiling, I do want to add my cloves of garlic in there actually. Pop those suckers in there, get that going, that way we can get some nice garlic flavor added as we put everything else in. And my bay leaf. All right, that sucker is added. Now we're just waiting for this water to get a nice little rolling boil before I add my noodles, and then all the rest of the ingredients here for the soup. All right, now that I've got my water to a rolling boil, I'm going to go ahead and add my 1.5 cups of elbow noodles. Again, this is just for the size of soup that I'm making, for the size pot that I'm using. Normally I would use probably about 2.5 cups of noodles with a bigger stock pot. Well, as we know, noodles do expand. And as we add our noodles, you just want to give it a little stir. That way none of those noodles kind of don't stick to the bottom there of your pot. Just move them around just a little bit. That water's still, believe it or not, boiling. But as you add things to it, you know that water will cease to boil a little bit, but then it will come back. As you can see, it's coming back right now to that boil point. I do not have my flame on high. It's about a medium high for the water. While that's boiling, I tend to wait about 3 minutes before adding my other ingredients in here, just so I can give the noodles a little more time to break down, to get softened. Alright, now that I've given my noodles some time to boil a little bit in that hot water, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my ingredients. Now be careful when you add your ingredients, as you add them, they do splash, so just kind of slowly, gradually add everything in there. There you go. I'm doing it this way just so you can see everything that's being poured into the soup pot. Normally I would face it away from me, that way I don't get splashed. Alright, now that we've added everything here, our ingredients, every last bit that I can, move that around. Look at that beautiful, look at that color. Oh my gosh, just the colors alone are enticing. Love it. So we're going to let that cook down a little bit too. I'm going to wait about 2 minutes before I add my chicken. Another note too, try not to season the soup so much until you get all the ingredients in there, because as you season before you get everything in, the flavor is going to change as things cook down. You know, everything, all the flavors are released from whatever items, whatever vegetables, meats that you're putting into the pot. So just keep that in mind as well. Best thing to do is just wait till you have everything in there and then start seasoning your soup. All right, and this is the breakdown that you want to see. As you can tell, all that stuff is being released into the soup now from all the vegetables that have been thrown in there, and my starches as well. This is a good point, is where you want to add your chicken. All right, and again, I'm using boneless breasts here, and I've cut them into cubes. All right, just kind of mix everything in there, stir it all around. Okay. That there. Now you can start seasoning your soup. Now that you've added everything into it, go ahead and add your seasonings. For this soup, I'm using 1 teaspoon of salt, a full teaspoon there. Oh, get it all in there. I'm gonna throw in about a ½ teaspoon of cumin. Oh. There. A ¼ teaspoon of pepper. Pepper. A ½ teaspoon of oregano. Got that all in there. And then stir all that together. There we go. Get it all in there. And this, again, these are my measurements for the soup. You are welcome to use however much of whatever you like to use for your soup. But this is what I grew up on, what I'm used to when I was sick and my aunt made a soup. Look at that. Beautiful. Coming together. All right, once you got all the ingredients in there, go ahead and set that on low, and then cover. And you're going to cover that here for probably about 30 minutes. All right, put the old cover on there. That's good to go. Put my flame down to just before low, so more like a medium low. How about that one? All right, we'll come back here when it's done. You can see that they're just boiling, simmering away. And again, this is medium-low heat. If you have a good stove, then you can put it on low, and it'll cook probably just about the same. All right, so it's been about 23 minutes or so, And I think the soup is coming a lot closer to being done before that 30-minute mark. So what I'm going to do is add my last ingredient, and that is chopped cilantro. Now, I cannot begin to describe the amazing aroma coming from this soup that engulfs the entire home. Let me tell you, the moment people in your house start smelling that, they are going to be drawn to the kitchen. And just look at that beautiful color, all these colors coming together. That's why I love the food that I love to cook, right? There it is. All right, we're just going to cover that here for another few minutes, and then it'll be all done. All right, the time has come, my little friends, to talk of many things. Some chicken soup when you're not well, and all those type of things. So as we can see now here, the noodles have been fully cooked. Potato is cooked, chicken is cooked, cilantro at the end is added. All of our veggies are cooked the way they should be. They're not overcooked. The timing is just perfect, and the flavor, my goodness, is amazing as always. Thank you, Tia Lucy, for this recipe. So this is my take on the chicken noodle soup. Give me one moment. And again, as you can see, just with those few ingredients that I had shown you guys earlier, this is how much soup you get out of that. Okay. Yay. All right, guys. Well, here it is. It's all done, all finished, all completed. And here goes the first bite. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Doesn't need any more salt. Doesn't need anything. Those hit. All those ingredients, the measurements are just right. I recommend this for something quick and easy to make. You know, when you're home and you're sick, and again, it's that time of year again. So excuse my appearance. I am not feeling well, but I wanted to share this with you here. It's a great recipe. I recommend it 100% when you're under the weather. So thanks again for joining me for Pandemonium's Punk Palette. Rock on.